I guess it's on, right?
Yes, it is.
Is this going to work for me? That okay? All right, let's try it. I'll keep it real close. Prayer, baseball, my father, and a little white rocker for a toddler. You want me to move over? Let's see if this is any better. Now you might ask, what does all of those mean? Well, maybe by the end of this, you'll understand what all of those were. Now my journey goes way back before I was even born. See, my father was raised in northern Alabama, a right-handed boy that worked on the farm. But at age 9, he fell out of a tree and busted up his elbow. Now in 1931, that wasn't just running down to the local emergency room and having x-rays done and maybe doing surgery. But the doctors did the best that they could. Now during the healing process, being on a farm, he had to work, started using his left hand. And when the healing process was over, he couldn't bend his right hand for the rest of his life. About like this. Now, when Mom and Dad got married, Dad wasn't a Christian, but my mom was a Christian, and her mother was a Christian, my grandmother, and we called her Big Mama. Now, Big Mama was one of these, what I call the old saints, that when she prayed, it was on her knees, and it was out loud. And I asked her one time, I said, why do you pray out loud? She said, well, I know God hears me, and I know what I'm praying, but I want everybody else to know too. And that's what she did. She prayed out loud all the time. Now, my dad, he had two loves. He loved my mom, but he loved baseball. Really loved baseball. Because I can remember about 15, well, I can't remember, but 15 months after they got married, I came along. And I became his second love, although baseball was about that close, I think. It was really close. I know it was. You know, and they tell me the stories that when they would put me to bed at night, it wasn't with a teddy bear or something like that. It was a baseball and a baseball glove. That's how much he liked baseball. And there was just something special about that old left arm. Now, Dad played baseball, and he just happened to be a pitcher, and a pitcher that could hit with power, which is a rare combination, especially being left-handed. But all this time, Big Mama and my mom prayed for him all the time. In fact, my uncles used to tell me, as I grew up, really how good he was. They used the term, which some of you will know, he had a nasty curveball. And I found that out when I was about 12. So I was going to be the catcher, and I got down in the catcher's position. And I told Dad, I said, bring it on. And he did one of those major league fastballs. Right in the glove, off of the glove and in the eye. My first black eye. Hopefully that was my only one, but I'm not sure. And that was quite a conversation at the dinner table that night, I can tell you. But Dad was really a good pitcher. And after a few years, he played he played semi-pro ball at the time, which means that he played on Sunday. So that just made that praying going a little harder, I think. And after a little bit, his name kind of got out into the baseball world. And he had major league scouts to come look at him. And it wasn't very long that they were ready to offer him a contract to go and start out in the minor leagues. But the prayer was too great. See, he gave up that love of baseball for the love of Christ. See, God had a plan for him. It was to teach in the church. Now, I also had a big daddy. And I can remember asking my mom one time, I said, Mom, I know why we call Big Daddy, because he's big. He was really a big man. But I said, Big Mama is really little. Why don't we call her Little Mama? I never got an answer to that question for some reason. But in 1955, February, just a month before my 9th birthday, Big Daddy passed away. And after that, Mom and Dad thought it would be great if I would stay with Big Mama at night. And I said, okay. Well, staying with her at night, every night, she would come off of that sofa, down on her knees, and she would pray out loud. And in that prayer was my name. Now, I'd been in church. I'd been in Sunday school. My dad had taught me about the Bible. But gosh, when I heard that name so many times, I just wanted to hide. Now, when I stayed with her, I would walk back in the mornings to my house. And the distance between those two houses were maybe not quite a quarter of a mile, probably. And we lived on the second house on the first row of this little community. And Big Mama lived in the 7th house on that same row. But the people in the 5th house had 2 dogs that were not very nice. And I tried to be brave every morning when I walked home, I'm telling you. And when I would start walking, I would be brave. And the closer that I got to that house, the slower my steps got. And kind of looking over the shoulder to see where those 2 dogs were. But I knew about prayer. I'd seen it, heard it. So I'd look up in the sky and I'd say, God, please let those 2 dogs be sleeping. If not, let me be the fastest boy in the world. He answered my prayer every time. He just didn't answer it the same way. So I guess sometimes I was fast. I guess I never got caught by those dogs. Anyway. But in July of that year, there was a revival. A little country Baptist church. Now, Brother Tom, in that time, we had revival from Sunday to Sunday. So I don't know if it was in the old time or the Baptist church, but it was one of those. But it was Sunday to Sunday. And Dad would go pick up Big Mama, bring her out to the house, and we'd have supper together, get ready for church. And then we would pray for the revival. Well, you can imagine what would happen when Big Mama prayed. It was on her knees, and it was out loud. And again, there was my name every time. And I still sometimes just wanted to hide from that. But on a Thursday night, when that prayer came, and I can remember that night just like it was yesterday. And when Big Mama prayed, and when my name, didn't even have to get my name out because I knew it was coming, I got up to go hide. And we had the couch on one side of the room, and almost in the other corner before you went into the bedroom was that little white rocker. My intent was to go into the bedroom and hide. But I made my way to that little rocker, and that became my altar that night. And I accepted Jesus in my heart. And then I couldn't wait to go to church to tell everybody what had happened. And then about a month after that, something that you're familiar with, Tom, I was baptized in that famous Cahaba River. Amen, amen, brother. That I was. So you see, prayer changed our lives. That little white rocker is buried right there. And my dad molded my life and directed it into a Christian path. He was one of the greatest men that I've ever known. And you see this cover? It's a nice cover, right? In fact, I just bought it not too long ago. Got a little thing in the back here, scrolled on it. But what's inside this Bible is a 40-year-old treasure. It's my father's Bible. Now, there are pages that are torn, some are taped together, and there's scriptures that are highlighted all the way from Genesis to Revelations. And a lot of notes written throughout the Bible. Some that you can't even hardly read, and some of the misspelled words. But it was a gift from that old lefty to me.